Welcome back to another episode of The Funny Please, where you have the right to remain laughing. As you can tell, we have fancy microphones today. Hopefully they're working. We just got this new fancy podcaster, but it has one fatal flaw that I want to warn you all about. That is that it will sometimes itself press the applause feature.
It's like we have a studio audience.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but I was
nothing wrong
sitting
with
on
that.
my couch after I had tested everything, and all of a sudden it just started playing applause out of nowhere. I was by myself, and it kind of scared me.
I hope we like take a serious moment to be like, yeah. So we just want to talk about like the like what's going on in like Israel and Palestine. It'll just go like
applause. Yeah. It's gonna do it at the wrong time. So if we sound like we have a live studio audience that's laughing at the wrong time, forgive us. We're trying. So again, my name is Ashley Ryan, and this is Ethan Filler, the co-host.
I'm Ethan Filler, the co-host.
Yes. And we have a special guest with us today. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us about yourself and your pronouns.
My name is Sunny Laprade. I'm super hot. Blair White and I are currently fighting on the internet, and I use she, her pronouns.
All right, perfect.
Hear me out, Sunny Laprade, Blair White, enemies to lovers.
Okay, let's not talk about Blair White. I feel like talking about Blair White as a queer person is like just always talking about Donald Trump as a Democrat. We don't need to always say the name, you know? But let's go into our topic today.
Just a bunch of like trans girls at a sleepover, and they're like, okay, you go into the bathroom and say Blair White's name 3 times.
If you say Blair White's name 3 times, you will get bad filler.
Okay.
We can cut it out.
Y'all, we can't hate on our future podcast guest, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the very exciting topic of getting into comedy. Yes. Thank you, audience. Yeah, we're going to be talking about getting into comedy, and then at the very end of this episode, we'll decide whether or not getting into comedy, maybe starting a comedy career, is funny.
Funny.
Spoiler alert, no.
Funny, yes. Worth it, no.
Sunny, why don't you tell us about how you got into comedy, and is it something you've always wanted to do? Like, how did that happen for you?
Yeah, so I started doing stand-up when I was 15 years old, which is not an appropriate time to start doing stand-up. If you're ever like, how can I damage my kid the most? The answer is put them in basements in Midtown with a bunch of men talking about hookers and blow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I wasn't like I always wanted to do comedy, but I did know pretty young. I listened to so much stand-up on like Pandora when I was in middle school. I went to go see, it was supposed to be Hannibal Buress live, but then the Bill Cosby stuff happened. So then it ended up being John Mulaney, and he did crowd work with me. And I remember being like, this is the greatest moment of my whole life, and this is what I want to do as a career. And then that's
Wait, so
that's
how old were you when you went to your comedy show?
I went to that show probably at 14 and then started at 15.
I feel like I was so sheltered compared to you. Like I literally like didn't know anything about stand-up comedy, but you grew up here.
No, I grew up in Western New York.
Western New York.
Yeah, it's like 6 hours outside the city, town of less than 1,000 people.
And then you said at 14 you started coming to Midtown, and
At 15 I started coming up to the city to do open mics whenever I got the chance, and I started opening for touring comics at colleges.
Oh my God. Did your parents go with you or?
Yeah, they would. They would go with me and hear me go up on stage and talk about how like maybe I'm gay, but like not really, you know, like I'm just kidding, but also like maybe I am.
Yeah, because most open mics are at
material
bars.
comedians are still doing.
Yeah, material comedians, straight men well into their 30s are loving that material right now.
Loving
I
it.
was ahead of my time.
But were you at like bars and stuff when you were like 15?
Oh yeah, I went to the Climat Lounge, baby, doing Laughing Buddha open mics.
We all love Laughing Buddha here.
Jeff Lawrence, if you're listening, thank you.
All right, so Ethan, tell us about your story. Did you always want to be a comedian? How did you get into it?
I actually wanted to be a comedian from a concerningly early age. Like I was like 12 and watching Comedy Central, and I think I told my parents I wanted to be a comedian. That was probably the hardest laugh I've ever gotten because they were like no. And then I never actually, not in the same way, Madame Laprade did, but I did do a little bit of stand up in high school. I did 2 talent shows. Actually, I did one talent show. It was called The Gong Show. It was sort of based on The Gong Show, but it was a talent show, and I won with stand up comedy.
Wow.
And I still remember this is what happened. My parents had come to see me, and I went up to accept the award. The award was a printed piece of paper that said you won.
Yeah, unlaminated.
Unlaminated.
yeah.
They got it framed, which is embarrassing.
They didn't
but I have
laminate it? Oh
They
my-
did not. It was no. It
Did
was
you go
just
to
a piece
public
of- it was
school?
office. Yes, I sure did.
Yeah, of course.
I sure did. But
That's the difference between public
you
and private.
said that
is
sentence
laminating.
with such an air of like you went to a public school.
Yeah, girl, we've seen this apartment
We've
that
seen
we're
the
in right now. We
apartment.
all know you didn't go to
For
public
the record,
school.
I want the audience to know we're in a doorman building right now. However, let me finish my story. I went up to I went up to get this award, and then I got off stage and I went back to my seat with my parents. And the first thing my mom said to me after I won the talent show was, "Were the other kids mad?" She was like, "Were the other kids mad?" She was like, "There was one kid who was really good at rapping. Was he upset that he didn't win?"
So we're about to wrap up, but what's one piece of advice you'd give to a new comedian who's trying to start out and get into comedy?
Quit.
Quit.
My actual advice for people starting comedy is like, find your people, because this
This is very important.
this fucking grind will like break your soul regardless, but it will break it so much faster if all you are doing is seeing like the worst, oldest, whitest, straightest men make fun of you for like so long. And so it's like the thing that makes this sustainable in any way, shape, or form is doing it with people that you like. And so like if you go to an open mic and it sucks, but there's one comedian who you thought was kind of funny or who you would want to hang out with or something, go up to them and ask them what their favorite open mics are.
Yeah.
Start going to those and just repeat that process until you find mics that you like. And then once you do that long enough, you'll start making friends with those people.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, going to an open mic sucks a little bit less when you can go
You're hanging out with your friends.
and you'll know that there are people you like there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like truly like that's kind of what happened to me where I had that like realization where like I was doing these mics at Eastville and it was like fine or whatever, but like I wasn't really in with a community, and then I did more open mics, and then eventually through like a series of butterfly effects, I randomly found out about this one open mic called Under St. Mark's in the East Village, and I really liked it. It was a variety mic. There was interesting stuff. It wasn't just dead behind the eyes comedians. There was musicians, poets, some like people do like magic tricks and stuff like that. And like I talked to the people and I liked them, and then they told me about more open mics, and I went to those, and I have like a support group. Like I have a network of like friends and people and performers who I like to hang out with, where it's like, even if like I get nothing out of comedy, I've made friendships that are going to last for a long time.
Absolutely. There is like the thing that keeps me going is that there is like a community aspect of it, you know? And like now it's like so many of my friends are comedians that it's like any fucking birthday party I go to or whatever, it's like I'm going to be running into the same people that I saw at the mic 2 hours ago,
Yeah.
you know? So
I don't know, just like there's like people in comedy where I'm like, if I had to hang out with exclusively like you people the entire time, I would have quit comedy. You need to find your people.
yeah.
I would tell people starting out to go take a class, because they actually did help me like really well manicure my set, because there was stuff I was saying that wasn't funny or stuff that I could say a different way and to make it funny. And they also give you like a big show at the end, which just was way better than doing open mics and getting to perform somewhere big. So I really like the class.
Oh, you know what else I would say? I would say don't get cocky too early, because I think that there's a lot of people who are like, I'm the shit. I'm better than all these people that I'm seeing at open mics. And you probably are, because they
It's a
all
low
suck.
bar.
It's a very low bar. But then like if you try too early to be like, I'm going to start emailing managers because I deserve it, or like I'm going to go do like some bringer show to try to get passes like at a club because I know I'm better than all these open micers, like you're gonna leave a first impression as someone who's green and cocky and not that funny. And so like give it at least a year before you start like actually trying to make it go anywhere.
Yeah.
Before
Because
you ask for a star
Yeah,
in the
before-
Hollywood Walk of Fame.
exactly.
Within a year,
Exactly.
if you want to do like a couple bringers or something like that's fine, but don't like set out with like, I'm gonna be a star, Hollywood.
I would say don't even do a bringer until you're at least a year in. At least a year.
All right, so now we've come to that time in our show where we have to decide whether or not being a comedian and getting into comedy is funny. All right, Ethan, what do you think? Is being a comedian funny?
Do you know who Pagliacci is?
Yes.
No.
Pagliacci the clown, essentially. Would you like to recite it?
No. I would like you to recite it though.
I'm not going to do it exactly, but like it's a man who goes to a doctor and says, "Doctor, I'm so sad. Like I don't have like the will to live. Like I can't go on anymore." And the doctor says, "Well, your prescription is that tonight you're going to see the great Pagliacci the clown, and he will cheer you up." And then the man through tears says, "But doctor, I'm Pagliacci the clown." And so that's my response to is comedy, being a comedian funny. It's like, it's funny in the way that it's darkly tragic.
Yeah, I think it's funny in a very like cosmic sense.
Yeah.
Like it's funny in the way
Cosmic sense.
it's funny in the way that like sometimes
Grand scale.
watching someone like fall really hard is funny.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I know that hurt. Like that person has medical bills over that fall, but it did give me a chuckle.
Yeah. Or like I've seen people at open mics that talk about like heavy stuff, like they're going through cancer treatment and they're making jokes about it. And it's very funny, but in a very dark way. Anyways, so mine is, I guess, should I say it's funny, do you think?
I think it's funny.
I guess it's funny.
I guess we're going to all agree because I also think it's funny. And I think that sometimes getting into comedy, the joke is on you because you might think you're really funny. And
The joke is always on you.
The joke is always on you. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all for today. So, Ethan, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at efeller13.
Sunny, where can we find you?
You can find me at Sunny L Comedy across all platforms. I do tour, so if you want to see me on tour, click the link in my bio and sign up for my mailing list.
And I'm Ashley Ryan TV on all platforms. And go to my Instagram and see all my upcoming shows. And please definitely come to them.
Yes. Speaking of Ashley's shows, she will be headlining. Do you know what date it is?
April 10th. It's a Wednesday night.
April 10th at Soho Playhouse at 9:30 p.m. It is a variety show with comedians, musicians, and other performers. It's every Wednesday. It's only $5. Ashley will be headlining that date. Once again, April
10th.
April 10th,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
My
So
first
please
30
come out.
minutes.
If you'd like Ashley, please come out to that one or come out any Wednesday.
Thank y'all and see you guys.